Alright, so this video is going to be about pushing Meliodas to his absolute limits inside of the Gallon leaderboards. As you can see, in a sea of Escanors, my Meliodas is holding strong. I'll probably get pushed out eventually, but my setup should be more than enough for the 4 to 50 range. And anyone else watching this video, my goal is to try to get you guys into top 200. So I'm going to be showing 3 tiers of teams. One is going to be super free to play friendly, one is going to be in the middle, and one is going to be leaning on the whale heavy side. But across all of those things, one person is required, and it is Merlin, and she needs to be on a fire wand. If you don't do this, you will not be able to get a good time with Meliodas. And that is because it allows you to burst Gallon before he even fully spawns in. Now, I'm going to list out the bare minimum requirements. I think it's somewhere along the lines of a P7 Meliodas, a P5 Daisy, maybe a P6 Merlin. I'm not too sure. I never even got to test her at P4, to be honest with you. So I'm going to have to ask around for that. And we have Manny. You kind of do want her at P5, but she's our most replaceable unit. You can replace her with Hauser or Slater. I'll be showing that later on in the video with my other teams. Now, when we get into Merlin, if your Merlin is not P7, then this armor set is completely useless for you. But if she is P7, then you would want to use this exact setup that I have. If your Merlin is P6 or lower, then you're just going to want full burst efficiency. Getting fire burst on these earrings is the most important thing you can do. Of course, that's completely luck based, but if you have them, then use them. Then we just have the rest of the 3 set, and then if any of your armor has burst efficiency on it, make sure you're using that armor. Of course, we have fire burst efficiency rolled on my staff. One thing people don't really know is the stat sheet is bugged most of the time. So you can see here, I basically have 60% total. But if I swap my weapon back and forth, it'll actually update. And now I have around 90% total. So I'm not sure if that's a visual bug or not, but make sure you swap your weapon back and forth until your stats actually update. My attack is sitting at 24,599 without food. That is because all of my weapons are limit break 7 at this point, because I really enjoy Merlin as a DPS. In every single one of these teams, having a blazing weapon is very important, and it absolutely needs to be limit break 7. Now, of course, Meliodas is on a new adventure outfit. Hauser is on his secure adventure outfit. This outfit is very important. Try to get it at least level 2. We have a bunch of magic on him at the moment. It's not even useful since we're bursting with Merlin. We showed Merlin's build earlier, just a bunch of fire burst efficiency. And obviously my Meliodas is built as min-max as possible. We're using the top just for crit chance. Normal skill damage is obviously amazing, so that's why we're using these 3 pieces. Dark Chaos Earrings are amazing. You want this at least level 2. Just use whatever has the best crit chance for you. If you do have a level 3, that's preferred. And then we're using the 2 set Corrupted just because you absolutely want to have this ring on with double crit damage. The necklace, you can really put whatever you want, but we're just using the Corrupted for the 2 set. This is the roll of my weapon. I would consider this a 3 out of 3. Basically the perfect roll you're looking for. If you get a 4th line with Darkness attack or crit chance, that would be an absolute god roll. His sub-weapons are limit break 7 with equipment attack rolled on them, of course. If you don't know that by now, equipment attack actually applies to this 30%, so having this enchant on it is basically like adding it here, giving you more total attack. This is my stat sheet for Meliodas. Across all teams, this will be his stats. The important stats are 180% crit damage, 70% normal skill damage, and 14% darkness damage. Those are the main 3 stats you want to compare when you're trying to set up yourself. Now, this is going to be our most free-to-play team. I know it doesn't look very free-to-play, but Daisy has rerun twice and Merlin has just ended, so if you have at least 1 copy of Daisy, you should be fine here. But obviously, the less dupes you have, the more important your build is going to be. Her outfit absolutely matters the most. It needs to be like at least level 2. You're kind of looking for at least level 2 all around the board. Except for Merlin, hers obviously doesn't matter. In order of most important, Melee should be level 3 first, Daisy should be level 3 second, Hauser should be level 3 third whenever possible. Daisy is on Blazing to apply first strike. We're going to go ahead and need our fruit and meat pie. To make this, you need a piece of large meat, any fruit, and any grain. Now, on Daisy, you actually have to buff before you load in because your skills are now locked. I don't know why the devs didn't remove this way. You can actually bring buffs into the boss fight. And a lot of people are doing that with Escanor. They're pre-buffing Escanor and then walking into the fight and doing damage. But anyway, you always want to start by pushing Q on Daisy before loading in. So I'm going to show you guys exactly what I'm going to be doing on Galland. You're going to run up to Galland, place a Q, and then push E twice. Now, if you let your Q fully play out, it pushes you all the way back here. But if you actually Q and then double E pretty quickly, it doesn't push you all the way back, which is what we're looking for. Like that. So once we do that, we're going to go to Daisy. We're going to wait to as soon as he's damageable, which is at 8.9 seconds. We're going to shoot him, apply first strike and electromagnet, swap to Hauser, hit him with a Q, swap to Melee, Q, and then spam E until he's dead. Now, none of this is going to be done first try, just for full transparency. So we're going to use our Q and get into it. Oh, well, it actually was done first try. Oops. Anyway, that's a 14.5. That would place me right around top 30 on NA East. If you're on the C server or North America West, your leaderboards are probably easier than mine. If you're on Europe and Asia, your leaderboards are going to be much harder than mine. NA East is right in the middle between the 5 servers. Alright, now we're going to switch the team into the mid-range. This would be requiring a P5 Manny. Her armor literally does not matter at all besides the magic, so we're using these pants. You set him for the 10%, and Gila's ring for the 12%. And of course we have magic on the staff. This brings us to a total of 54%, that's more than enough. For reference, our Daisy's at 60%. If you have any armor with magic generation, go ahead and use that. Unfortunately, I don't at the moment. This team setup is going to be basically the same as what we just did, except we're putting Manny Zora down. And we missed the first strike there, so as you can see, it's not going to be a one cycle. Another thing to note, the speed at which you swap is very important, because as soon as he gets his axe in the air, he gains a massive damage reduction. So if you're wondering why your damage is always randomly terrible towards the end, that's why. Alright, as you can see, we got a 13.7 there. This team actually could do something quicker than that, probably like a 13.2. Let's just assume I got the best time I could have had with that team. That would put you in 12th place on my leaderboards. If we count the 13.7, it would be around 18. Alright, now in order to get into the 11 and 12 second range, this is where stuff actually gets really hard. And it gets to a point where most players are willing to not do this sort of thing because it just takes so much time. But if you guys are willing to do it, I'm willing to show you. So, we're using the exact same team, except we are going to be solo ulting with Daisy, which requires us to make 2 orbs as fast as possible, which requires you to have 4 Daisy turrets. Now, it is possible to do this without P7 Daisy, which gives you the 4 turrets, but it just makes your run that much harder. If you're going to do this without P7 Daisy, you're probably going to need near maximum magic generation on all 3 of your units. But according to my friend, it is actually possible to do this with only 2 Daisy turrets. But I have 4, and I'm going to be showing you guys how to use it if you have 4. Now, the most important thing you need to know is how to get these turrets out as fast as humanly possible. So the sequence is E jump, E jump, E jump, E jump. Or for your controller, it's whatever the turret button is. So if we do that extremely quick, it should look something like this. If you do that, it will place all 4 almost instantaneously. Now, this is something you will mess up a lot of times, and it'll probably kill a lot of your runs, but you can sort of get it down consistently. I do it like 75% of the time. Make sure in between every single run you're actually reapplying your Daisy buff, because you do not have time to use it in the actual sequence. So I'm going to be showing it off a couple times. The only thing different we're doing here is where when we swap to Daisy, we're putting all 4 turrets down and using a solo ult, and the timing is really strict. Because we still want to end up shooting him at 8.9. So even that missed the first strike. Alright, now as you can see, that is incredibly hard to do. It took me like 50 attempts. I think usually I get it like one every 50 attempts. But thankfully, you only have to do this one time, and then it's done for 3 weeks, so it's really not that bad. I kind of enjoy doing stuff like this anyways, so it is what it is. You also get a bunch of essence. Let me see. I have 1,054. So if you're in need of essence, this is certainly one way to get it. Now I do actually have one more team that pushes it even further, but it requires a P10 Elizabeth and a lot more luck. This team should be able to do 11 seconds. It definitely cannot do 10, I don't think. But even still, it would probably get you into rank 3 or 4 on my server with a Meliodas, which is very respectable. Unfortunately, I don't have an Escanor to show how people are doing 10 seconds and 9-second clears, but just know that it requires a lot of things that normal players aren't aware of, like pre-stacking buffs before you load in, etc, etc. But I'm making this video for the people who only have Meliodas at a high potential and are just using him to do pretty much everything in the game, which is understandable. It is basically impossible to get higher potentials on all of these characters that have been coming out as a free-to-play. Most free-to-plays are probably sitting at P4, P5 at the absolute most, because doing 120 summons on every banner is basically all you can do as a free-to-play every 3 weeks. So usually their only options are to use Meliodas at P7 or P9. So hopefully those videos help you guys out. And since leaderboards actually matter now for like a casual audience, I'll probably be making these type of videos for everything from here on out, just in terms of pushing Meliodas to the absolute limit. But yeah, that's it for the video. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace.